synced. It's getting a little hazy, and I think we need to talk about Bugonia. So, I'm a little late with this one, but I watched this movie like 4 times. 3 times last year, 2 in theaters, and then I think I watched it with some friends once, and then I just watched it with my girlfriend like 2 weeks ago. And I've had these notes sitting on my phone for a while, so let's do some excavating here, and let's start digging deep into Mr. Yorgos Lanthimos' new fellow. So, first I have at the center of this, before we kind of dig into anything else, I feel like maybe the biggest thing is just like obviously the central figure of Teddy. And I think it's really well played by Jesse Plemons. He's really good at being a freak. I'd love to see him be. I mean, I watched The Power of the Hog, and he was like a dumb fat guy. I'd like to see him be like. I'd like to let them shave his beard down and get a nice haircut and be like an everyman, like heroic father or something. Maybe that exists. I don't know. But I feel like he's got this range that we're not tapping into. Any which ways. The enormity of personal tragedy here is hard to escape. That's kind of the thing that's pulling everything down. And we'll talk about this later, but we're not really sure if we're poking fun at him for a while or not. He is sort of a sympathetic character in the sense that, like, as we learn more about him, it's more like, ooh, oof. But he's kind of a tweaker, which is a really fun kind of internet age thing. I will say, right, as internet age things go, this is one of the ones that actually toes the line very well, and I think doesn't A, get too preachy, B, completely miss the mark, sound like it was written by a boomer. Because one of the biggest things that I talk about, and I'll probably talk about this in future reviews as well, is I call it like punching outside your tech bracket. It's kind of like when old heads try and write something that's really tapped in, that's really like new and of the time, right? So I'm immediately reminded of Adolescence, which like I was like ugly sobbing. Like that shit was actually really pretty life-changing for me, and I thought it was really, really, really well done. But bringing up like Andrew Tate and doing like Instagram comments red-pilled thing, just comes off like a little retarded, and it just kind of comes off like a 55-year-old woman from London like tried to kind of tap into the new age of misogyny. So I don't know. But any which ways, I feel like this movie did not punch outside its tech bracket. I thought it did it very well. And I mean, I try not to include everything else outside the movie in it, but some of the advertising was outstanding. Like, I'm on Schizogram. My reels are just like tweaker, all over tattoo ladies, like talking to walls, and like dudes that are, just asking for the top comment to like buy them a gun and stuff. And it's not funny. It's just like an insane thing to get a window into. And so I thought this movie did a really good job of capturing that. And then the movie also promoted itself in such a manner, which I thought was really, really cool. You just see Emma Stone, and it's like she's an alien CEO. So I thought they towed that line very well. And they're very clearly like not in any certain particular camp. The writer did a good job of kind of staying out of it, in this nebulous place. Any which ways. So the enormity of the personal tragedy is kind of the centerpiece here. I think that's where they do a really good job, and they don't get bogged down in the tech stuff. They don't get bogged down in he's a freaking super crazy right-wing guy, or he's super freaking crazy communist guy. We don't really need all that. That's kind of flavors. That's kind of maybe one facet of the 20-sided die that we're rolling here. So that's fun. The tragedy is the anchor piece, and the big thing I also got was like, I think he says this at one point, I can't really remember, but really the biggest thing, and I think is like super powerful as like a piece on the character that a lot of people do in their real lives, is just figure out something you fucked up really bad, or figure out something really bad that happened to you, and then just try and figure out a way to be mad at God about it, or be mad at, a CEO that's nearby, runs a Fortune 500 company in the outskirts of Atlanta or something, right? So it's kind of that deal, where it's this like obfuscation of responsibility or something. It's put it away from me. I didn't do it. I can't be held responsible for it. What I thought this movie did a cool job with was like, no, it's not your fault, but I guess it's your responsibility. No, I guess it's not your fault, but like you're the one that has to deal with it. And so we see kind of how Teddy deals with it, and it's pretty poorly. But as things develop, it kind of has this fun thing to it. So I mean, the other thing I wrote was, it kind of circles back on the same idea where it's like he lives in fairy tale land, and they call it like echo chambers. They have some fun back and forths about it where she has some real nice like corporate jargon for it, and he kind of gets back at her a couple times. So it's just this kind of back and forth of who am I rooting for, and like that's pretty fun to me. There's not like an evil character. There's a guy that is a tweaker, and you're kind of like, but I hate to side with him. But then, you know, you kind of get it, you know, over the course of the runtime. And the idea there is just like, you know, it's nicer to live in the fairy tale world in your head where it's not your fault. You know, I could have put the "It's Not My Fault" with the fairy tale allure title. Maybe I'll mash these together. But to me, that's like this kind of, it's like this world in your brain, right? That's just not real. And so for Teddy, he gets pretty close to making it real. He makes it real for Dawn. He ends up making it real for Michelle, Miss CEO, because he kidnaps her, and then she's kind of forced to deal with it. Next we have, and I thought this was actually a pretty fun. I mean, it's a little heavy-handed, as Mr. Yorgos does with the metaphors, but anchors away, right? And I got a little cutesy with the spelling of away, but it's like this "what weighs you down" kind of thing, right? And like, can you let go? So we kind of have this like this tether between the two, and I mean, obviously the biggest thing there is the mom balloon shot. So the mom in the bathtub, we have these flashbacks in the black and white. It's really gnarly, in a Yorgos kind of way, where it's super like out there. It's not realistic. It's kind of more of a visual showing of like the feeling, right? I don't think the lady actually had like 400 needles in her. Maybe she did. Maybe that's where he got the tweaker thing from. But I get the idea that we're kind of in Teddy's brain, and he's remembering the needles as 60 times larger than they were. She's all stuck with needles when she probably was just taking a shot a week of this like test drug, right? So him holding her as a balloon, I just thought was like a pretty good way to show that, of like he's holding on to it. She can't get let go. She can't go be at peace. And he has one of his hands full all the time, with just dealing with the kind of the baggage that comes with that. And so, I mean, all of that kind of wraps up into the personal tragedy thing. There's nothing bigger than that to him, right? Like this CEO lady, like she's rich, famous, and runs the economy in this little sector he's in or what have you. She's Jeff Bezos or whatever. But to him, that doesn't matter. She killed his mom, or put her on life support, etc., with these drugs. And it probably wasn't even her. She's just the head of the thing. She's the easy target, right? So it's this kind of cool thing of like, it's just a very well thought out story structure. And then the flashbacks, they do a really good job. Now, I think one of the coolest things about the structure is, and I got QT again here, the hierarchy, right? Obviously, we're doing this thing, this big conceit with the bees, and then the hive, and then the queen, and then the workers, and he works for her, she's the queen bee, he's a worker bee. And this is where we start kind of get the flavor of it, right? I mean, do your job, you're a drone, whatever. And then, like, you know, the big guy up top doesn't care about you. And you start kind of getting that flavor of things. And it would be sort of, like, that's a very direction to take on this, I guess. I'm losing my words a little bit, but, you know, it's this idea of, like, who's the boss? It's kind of like, I guess it's leftist in nature, where it's like, the capitalists, they don't care about the worker, like, exploit. But kind of comparing that with the bees, like, and you get this idea over their conversations at dinner that, like, bees are like this beautiful creature that, like, that exploitation is like part of their life cycle. It's not exploitation. That's what they do. They die for the queen. And then they talk about, like, the colony collapse where the worker bees kill the queen. And so you kind of get this idea of, like, is Yorgos saying, or you know, there's just a lot of different reads there where it's like, is it saying that, like, when Jesse Plemons becomes worker bee and kills the queen, that's like colony collapse disorder and it's like a disorder? Or is he kind of justified in it? Because we get a lot of these shots where obviously she's being kind of posited as this, like, alien figure, like she's different than us, she's, like, rich. So it's another one of those fun things, I think, where you don't know who is who and you don't know, like, who you're rooting for. But another thing that I thought was really fun is it's like, what's left over for you? You know, is the freedom for Jesse Plemons' guy, is it away from work or is it just away from everybody else? Because, right, it seems like he's at his chillingest when he just gets to do his apiary stuff, hang out with his bees, and then like tweak out on online forums, right? Like, is the freedom like getting out of the work? Is the work your is your vocation like your destiny? Is your vocation like your purpose? Because with bees, that's very clearly the case, right? A worker bee's job is to make some honey or whatever, defend the queen. I don't know that much about bees, but they don't have like that extra level of, it's a very animal instinct. And so kind of that back and forth, that like little tug of war is pretty fun. It does a really good job. And then like the shots with the actual bees, the beginning voiceover where he's like, it's sex, but it's cleaner and nobody gets hurt, is like, there's some really funny bits. And then it just does a really good job. Like, there's nothing, I think like when a movie kind of does that conceit and carries it where it's like, we get the flowers and the bees on the close-ups, and then we kind of carry that over, oh, he's the bee, that kind of big metaphor, like big extended metaphor, right? It's really nice when they can pull that off. So, like, the hierarchy thing is fun, and it's hilarious. I didn't even realize that she was the head of his company, his packaging company, until like the third time watching it. But it just kind of goes to show, like, I mean, A, I need to pay more attention, but B, it was good even without that little piece. Like when they're in the break room and she's on the poster behind him, it's just kind of cool. They did a really good job with a lot of the set building and a lot of like the little world building around this. Like, it's a very contained movie, but it still has a lot to say and punches like pretty deep. I think it has a lot to, at least a lot worth discussing, even if it doesn't say it directly, which I would say is maybe like, I give it higher praises for that. Next, talking about so I mean, VistaVision's the big kick right now. Everybody's getting a kick out of it, and then wonderful score, and then beautiful set design. I mean, to me, this is just the pieces around the movie. When we talking about script, and we're not even really talking about the direction. It's like cinematographer, score guy. So Robbie Ryan, I forgot who did the score, shouts out. And then, you know, just the building of things, like the building blocks. What are we looking at? For me, this was my favorite score of 2025, probably, like tied with One Battle. Just the huge swells, like the huge symphonies, like building up when Mr. Worker Bee is tweaking out on Queen is really good. Like, when he's walking back to the house after he bashes Stav's head in with the shovel, and we kind of kick back up to the, like, it feels, like so much larger than life. It really kind of takes this story, like I just said, that's pretty contained, and it makes it actually feel huge, gigantic. It makes it feel, like so much more significant. And like, that's maybe the coolest thing about the marriage of like sound to image, is like, if you can elevate either one with the other, we're really doing what movies are supposed to do here. So that's like awesome to me. And then with that, you know, you have your wonderful music, and we're marrying it to a wonderful picture. When my girlfriend and I were watching it, we were watching on like Hulu or some shit on a streaming. And usually I'm mad about the streaming quality. It kind of comes and goes. We kind of drop 720 up to 1080. Maybe sometimes it gets to the 4K if we're on the upper range of things. But this shit looks like 12K, like 15K. I know that's what VistaVision does, but we paused it at one point. I was standing like real close to the screen, and I was like, good Lord, this shit is so HD. It looks awesome. And it's still got, you know, the little film crackle and this little patina to it or whatever. But like, to me, those together are just like outstanding. So we have this like beautiful like orchestra thing, and then we just got beautiful images. Like, he doesn't do too much here until he does, and we'll get into that. But I mean, to me, it's Yorgos at his least Yorgos. I've heard people talk about how they're kind of tired of his shtick, and I feel like this didn't have it. Like, obviously, it was kind of tinged Yorgos. We have like some really funny dialogue, and then the end, obviously, we get there. But before that, these characters are like they're not personable. They're weird. We don't really identify with any of them, but there's empathy for them. There's like genuine empathy for them. The dialogue is like two people conversing. They both have motives. It's not stilted. It's not in that weird tone that we get in The Lobster or, Killing of a Sacred Deer, yada, yada, yada. They're just like real people that might exist, that probably do exist. And if you were to put them together, it's conversations that they would have. There's direction to the conversations. They're not just in service of like a larger idea. Like Yorgos isn't doing the thing where he says, hey, deliver it like flat as fuck, because like the funny thing here is like you being flat with the words in the world I built. It's like these people are kind of like, to break the earlier metaphor, like they're not just worker bees doing the worker bee shit in the Yorgos world. Like he's asking them to kind of put some range on it. And then there's just something about it that's a lot more human than anything else he's done. The Stab character is really funny. I thought it was cool bringing him in, the two Greek brothers, him and Yorgos. And, some of his little things about like, hey man, we were young and must have been a power thing. I haven't ever done that again. Like I was like laughing in the theater. It was like really funny. Just little nods to stuff. And it kind of builds out that, personal tragedy thing we talked about earlier. Mom OD'd, dad ran off, got diddled by your cop babysitter who still hangs around. Now you have to take care of your cousin. There's a lot of like weight to it. And then like the other thing is just the way that they framed a lot of these shots were like really beautiful. It felt like a little Kubrick-y. I don't know exactly why. I would have to maybe do a little more research before I start yapping like that. But the low shots of like her walking through the office and we're like below, I really, really, really like the shot at the beginning of her with the red light machine on her face, and she looks like an evil alien. To me, that was just like, if you can put a frame on screen for 2 seconds, and I immediately go, evil alien bitch, like that's super powerful. That's what we do this for, is it's like to convey an idea, even in the absence of words. And so that's like 2 thumbs up from me. Some really good blocking, and then it's really nice that they just built this little house on the outskirts of Atlanta, and then they didn't do too much to it. There's not, the set design here is like underspoken, but in a good way. I was talking with my friend Brady about this the other day of like, really, really good set design, unless you're doing Dune or something, just blends in. You go, oh, that's not real. Oh, they didn't just find a place that looks like that. Obviously, if you find a place that looks like that, shouts out to your location scouter. But if you built it, which they did, they built this house from scratch, and you go, oh, that just looks like every like Georgia bumfuck, like it's not a McMansion, Georgia bumfuck house that's like out in the middle of nowhere, and they've got the old cars out there, they got the fun little side house thing. Like I really liked that. I would live in that house. The little hexagonal dish holder thing over the island was awesome. Like there's just like, it's just like this attention to detail that kind of, it's an attention to detail that like if you just really look for it, it's there, and it's just kind of a sideshow thing that's just really awesome. Like I can't sing enough praise for that. So I mean, like in the flower shots, just at the beginning with the bees and stuff, kind of reminded of like a zone of interest thing, where when you just do like a really nice montage, even with voiceover, without voiceover, whatever it is, like there's something really, really good, powerful, and sort of, it kind of does, it's more than the sum of its parts, it really is. It's not just a bee with a flower and then the guy saying something funny over it. It really makes you like, it kind of gets the gears turning in the right direction. And that's really, really good. What else could you say about that? The end, right? After the spaceship, we'll go back to the spaceship in a minute. I'm being positive right now. This is my first really big positive thing, and almost entirely positive review on here. So the end shots are some of like my favorite shots I've seen in a movie recently, and definitely my favorite shots I've seen from like Yorgos. And I guess shouts out Mr. Robbie, because I guess he's doing a lot of that too. But it's like, they probably spent 1/3 of the damn budget doing those, like finding these places. It looks like they actually went over to Asia and all these different, like it looks like they're on the coast of Africa, Asia, all this stuff. And then you find all these extras and you hit them all up and you fake them like they're dead. And then they flew, that was like 40 locations. I love shit like that, because I mean, we'll get into like kind of what it says in a second, but it's like, to me, that's beautiful. Like, and to the song, like, to me, that's like a music video for the song almost. Like, it has so much swag. Like, and I love like the little minute storytelling that goes on behind the scenes. So I mean, like, for me, my favorite shot in this movie, my favorite shot probably from 2025 entirely, was the packaging facility where Teddy worked, and all the workers are dead, and then the packages have piled up. Like, oh, it has so many lines through that you have to talk about. Like, you have to talk about, like, that, what, like, I'm at a loss for words. Like, that shot is so beautiful, and it just has so much to, like, break down of, like, are you, like, we as humans transcend this idea of what is your job. Like, no, we know what our job is, and we've gone above and beyond that. We keep that job of like, continuing the species, blah, 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 blah. But, like, we have invented new jobs for ourselves that then demand more from us, right? That's what's, like, super compelling about that shot to me, is it's, these people have died, and these boxes still pack up. That, like, more orders were coming through. Now everybody's dead, so they probably won't anymore. But, like, we built a machine that runs, like, separate from us, but demands our continued, like, work for it. It's like building a hive that I can't even like put it to words, but that shot is so beautiful. And then the shot of, like, the little dinosaurs walking, well, the big T-Rex skeleton, the shots on that boat where the dude's, like, halfway out of the door. Like, I'm just going to sit here and describe all the shots with words, which is, there's no point. But to me, even though I don't maybe like what that has to say, and we'll get into that in just a second, I love the way it says it. And I think that's, like, something that I could, just clap about all day and just yada yada keep ranting about, which is, I mean, it's outstanding. I will say, while we're in here, yeah, so onto the stuff I don't like as much. The spaceship design. Awful. As a Yorgos liker, I wouldn't say lover, he's cool. I just really like he has his signature on stuff. I like that when you can see, like, his fingerprints on things. I like when you watch something and you know who made it. Even though I think maybe the highest praise is that you watch something and you don't know who made it. Like, people that can be swag chameleon. But as far as non-swag chameleons go, he's pretty cool. The Lobster is one of my favorite movies. Killing of a Sacred Deer is gnarly, but in a way that you have to respect. Poor Things is kind of what I wanted to talk about in tandem with this movie. My big problem with Poor Things is, like, the set design and production were awful. Like, the costuming was cool, and there are parts where they play the backdrop down, and it's just Victorian swag, and it's cool. But, like, the titles cards for going to the different places were fucking awful. I just hated it. Like, I think the person that made those should be fired and not be allowed to touch movies anymore. And then I, like, hated the cruise ship. I hated the super crazy blown CG Tron sunset bullshit going on. I just hated it. And then they milked it, like, really hard. It became kind of like a driving thing in the movie with the space cars and weird bullshit in Lisbon and stuff. And I try not to let, like, it's this weird thing of, like, they did their vision, and so I try to not be so partial about it and say, well, I hated the vision, but it's so hard to escape that, because I look at that and it makes it look like corny, weird, and it's not, like, in a charming way, like a B movie. It's like really bad, and I don't understand they have so much budget for it. And then he goes around, and then in the swing of the spaceship, right, we get a couple things. Our boy Teddy's vindicated. So we do this, and that was a Yorgos pull, and I'm ashamed to say the first time I watched it, did not even consider that until it happened. But I mean, it's this weird thing of, like, you can vindicate him without showing the stupid-ass alien set. I hated it. What I liked was the bubble popping over the Earth being flat, because the title cards in this movie are cool. They're funky. The text, the font, it's okay. Because I mean, I gotta, like, art direction is half of the battle. So it's cool that the flat Earth on the title cards is in their little mothership, and it's cool she pops the bubble on it. To me, you get her in the closet, and then you see the bubble pop, and then we see all the dead people. That's fun. That's cool. Leaves a little bit up to the imagination. The spaceship design, like, I don't mind that we see that Teddy was right about the spaceship shape, right? I don't mind it. I hate going into the spaceship and they're talking in like, Daenerys language. Like, it sounds like bullshit. And then I hate their outfits. They look like big stupid babies, and I don't like the weird CG-ness of it. Like, even if it's not CG, it looks like CG. It's like Frankenstein. It's like the Frankenstein that came out last year, where it's like, if you built this really cool set, you made it look like garbage. Like, you made it look like garbage CG, even if it's real. And so what was the point? Like, I don't... I'm going to get a little worked up about it, but it's just, it like really undercut the movie and made it like not a 5, which is awful. It's just, that's the worst thing, is getting that close and fucking it up. It's like one battle. It's like, you got that close and then you did some retard ass shit. Like, your taste level, like, talent doesn't matter without taste. And obviously he's missing a little bit of it doing this again. That just screamed Poor Things to me. Poor Things set design, Poor Things production design. And it was awful. And it wasn't like that funny. Like, it was funny that we learned that the hair getting shaved off like worked and stuff, but we didn't have to do that, right? You vindicate Teddy, you tell us that he was right, which adds a fun spin on it, because if you don't do that, you're just like crazy Hollywood elite guy saying, look at all these silly tinfoil hat guys, aren't they so dumb? And it's a little disingenuous. Instead, we have a full body Teddy character. We feel a little bad for him. There's some Tron backstory, enormity, personal tragedy, yada, 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 yada. And then at the end, we see he was right. And then when you watch it a third time, a fourth time, like I have, you see these things that they kind of go through, and you realize he was onto something, and she kind of knew he was onto him. And so there's even kind of more fun cat and mouse thing going on in their discussions. So, like, that's fun. It's just the spaceship design is awful, and I hate how we have to get there. So, enough about the bad spaceship, awful spaceship, but fire whoever made that, Yorgos, and don't do it again. Because the rest of this movie is like maybe my favorite movie that you've made, where it's like you're still doing something slightly weird. There's still like a fun little flavor to it, but you're not going like overboard, and it's not so heavy-handed as Poor Things, where I'm like, okay, I get it. This one has a little muddiness to it, and I could watch this and say what I'm saying now, and somebody else could watch it and have a completely different take on it, and we could argue about it for hours. And that's what I love. Like, that's when you know something is sort of, it's powerfully conceived, is it's like, two different people could watch it, get two different things, and have endless amounts of evidence towards their point, because you've packed it with so much powerful imagery, powerful dialogue, powerful ideas, a beautiful combination of things, collision of things. Like, that's good. But the spaceship is bad, and fuck that, and fuck the person that made it. I'm sorry. Now, we need to talk about... And, I mean... this is maybe like the meat of it. This is the only thing I could say for sure. Because when you watch it and you go, okay, Teddy was right, but he's a weirdo. And you go, okay, Michelle wasn't that cool and she was an alien, but like, she's got like a heart or something, and you can't really tell who to identify with and who he identifies with, right? Yada, yada. But the one thing I could say for sure is, like, this movie hates people. It hates people. It's really like... the big thing is at the end, right? The shots that I love so much, I don't maybe like what they suggest. They suggest that if all the humans were to die tomorrow, things would go back and heal, right? We get that song that kind of has like a nice little upbeat to it, and the bees come back, and then everything kind of looks like it's like restoring itself. It's like humanity is the disease, right? I reject that. I reject that wholeheartedly. I love people. I am a humanist, man. But... I mean, I gotta tip my hat at, like, what it says. I just don't, or how he says it. I just don't like what he says. That's cool. That's fine. When I can respect how you said it and be like, I get how you get there, but I don't agree, like, that's when it's fun. That's when it's cool, and I'm not gonna dock you any points on it. But it's, I mean, it's cool, but it really lends a lot of credibility to Teddy, like I was saying a minute ago, where he was right about the whole thing, right? Like, they probably, when you vindicate one of his points of her being an alien, I feel like when I rewatch it, and he was right about that, the craziest one, I feel like we kind of go back down the list and he gets like a full strike because it's like, okay, they probably are poisoning the bees. Okay, they probably did kill his mom on purpose. And then obviously she says like the human experiments and stuff. And it's just, it's this strange thing where it seems like we hate everybody. Teddy maybe gets the most credit, and maybe Don. But it's like, it's strange because you feel bad for these people. Like Don's suicide was like genuinely one of the most like emotional moments that's ever been in a Yorgos film. Like you actually are like, oh man, like almost like teared up, which I don't think I've ever done before in one of his movies, because there's something that's like exists outside of reality, outside of space and time, and you just kind of watch it as like a weird stilted kind of stage play. But anyways, like we give him some genuine empathy. We feel really bad for him. Teddy, there's these moments where he's vindicated. There's also a lot of moments where he's awful and he's like torturing people and he's like a serial killer kind of vibe, and you're like, oh, this is really bad. And then like we liken the rich people to aliens. Like I said earlier, the red light shot is awesome, and it kind of communicates like everything you need to know of like, this woman is an evil robot killer, a human. She cannot be trusted. She is your enemy kind of vibe. Obviously, like when you do that quickly, and I'm extrapolating quite a bit there, but that's what it feels like. And so it's just an interesting take where it's just like, we're obviously not bees, because if you let bees flourish, everything goes well. They're like a keystone species or whatever you want to call it. Like they pollinate everything, all the flowers go well because they kind of mind their own business. They do their task. And then our enterprise kind of goes far outside of our own, maybe like God ordained enterprise. What would you say, right? Like we're building far more than the hive. If we were just to tend to our hive, you know, it feels like some return to monkey shit, which I don't particularly like either, but I don't like the take there, but I get it. It's just, it's interesting because, you know, if you let bees flourish, the world kind of heals, supposedly. Flowers bloom, nature comes back. I think that there's something there where it's like, you can't really extract humans from nature like we are nature. I digress. Really, what was kind of cool, it ties in with the misanthropy thing, is and these are both quotes from Mrs. Michelle. And so it's kind of cool to see her do both of these. She's talking to Teddy at dinner, and she says something about the futility of the whole enterprise. And you sit there and like, that's a pretty gnarly string of words. It makes you feel as though like you are a cog in a machine, you are a bee in a hive, you're not really meant for anything, there's no greater purpose, there's nothing to aspire to. There is the start of your life, and then we string through, and then there's the end of your life, and this large thing that we inhabit is going to be more or less the same with or without you there. Rough. I don't like thinking like that. But the other thing she says is when she's talking to Don to try and get him like kind of off the ledge, which doesn't work, rest in peace, is there's so much out there, you know? And like, that's a funny line, really smart writing, which is another thing I would clap up for this movie, is just, she's an alien, so there is so much out there that we don't know about. But to me, those kind of ring like completely opposite from one another. Like there's so much out there, there's so much to explore. That's what makes it not a futile enterprise. Which is just another moment of this movie kind of riding like a knife's edge of like, who's being made fun of, which side are we going to fall on, and they kind of give you enough fodder on both sides that you can kind of make the decision for yourself, and just like see how you feel about it, which right on, right the fuck on. But I mean, it's just this kind of duality of like, are you siding with the rich person, or are you siding with the tweaker poor person? Evil rich person, tweaker poor person. Evil maybe altruistic at a point on like a super species intergalactic level evil rich person, or like tweaker evil on a much more personal level kind of thing. And it's like, who are you going to sympathize with? I don't know. But you know, it might be like my second favorite Yorgos movie, and it probably would have been my first favorite without the bullshit spaceship retardedness. Atlanta, you look beautiful. I'll see you soon.